What's up, guys? Welcome back to Taking the Field with Stevie Mack, and on this episode, I'm joined by Detroit Mercy head coach and Philadelphia Waterdogs midfielder Charlie Hayes. Coach, thanks for taking a few minutes of your time.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So, first question for you, we'll talk about Detroit Mercy here for most of this episode, but I did want to touch on this just as we get started. I did see the other day on social media that the team announced that they signed you back for, I believe it was 2 years. So just talk about that and, what it meant to get that new contract from the Water Dogs.
Yeah, really happy to re-sign with the Water Dogs for the next 2 seasons. Have absolutely loved my time with the Water Dogs the last few years, and yeah, really excited to re-sign and kind of get back at it this summer. I know we still have a great team, and we can compete for a championship. So really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So, kind of taking a look at Detroit Mercy, like I said, I just wanted to touch on that as we got started here. Now, in your first season as the head coach with Detroit Mercy, you've spent a few years under Coach Colin as one of his assistants. What are some things that maybe you'll take from him, and then some things that you want to try to introduce now that you're the head coach?
Yeah, first things first. I'm obviously really excited about the opportunity. Having been here for the last, 10 years as both player and an assistant coach. I love this university. I love this lacrosse program. So, really excited to take over and kind of enter this new chapter of my coaching career. And yeah, having played for Coach Colin and coaching alongside of him, really thankful for him giving me the opportunity, 4 years ago to come on staff and be an assistant coach with him. And just really looking forward to the future. We're going to change a good amount of stuff around here. And, our guys have been awesome so far this year, kind of buying in and adapting to the changes that we as a staff are making.
So, a new conference this year, it looks like, for the men's squad, going from the ASUN to the NEC, but there's still some, I guess you would say, familiar faces that you'll be seeing this year. Teams like VMI, Robert Morris, and Cleveland State. Talk about the competition that you'll be facing this year in the NEC.
Yeah, we're really excited about the conference move to the NEC this year. Like you said, there'll be some familiar faces, and there'll be some new teams that we haven't really had the chance to compete against in the past. So we're really looking forward. I think timing is great for us, right? I mean, myself taking over as head coach this year gives us a little bit of a new chapter in our program. I think moving into a new conference just kind of, levels that up a little bit as well. So we're really excited about the move. I think, it's going to be a really competitive conference. Honestly, the NEC conference reminds me a lot of the MAC conference that we competed in for many years since our program's existence. It's a lot similar kind of geographically, and all the schools in the NEC, they just look a lot like us, right? We're a mid-major Division I school. And a lot of these schools that are in the conference, like I said, they're very similar to kind of how we operate. So it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be competitive, like I said. And nowadays in Division I lacrosse, everybody's good, right? So it's really anybody can win on any given day, and that'll be really for our guys moving forward.
Now, looking at sort of maybe the rest of your coaching staff, or at least that first hire that was announced in Coach Palmer, who was an attackman at Johns Hopkins, it said in his bio. And you mentioned in a quote that I read in his bio that you liked sort of vision that he had for the offense this season. What maybe is something that we can expect from the offense here this year?
Yeah, I think when you turn on any games that of ours that you watch this year, you'll notice that there's a pretty big difference in kind of how we play offensively. First things first, the head of Coach Palmer was awesome for us. I had been familiar with Coach Palmer for the last few years. He's been involved in kind of the club circuit here in Michigan for a few years now, and I've crossed paths with him a number of times, and obviously knew a lot about his playing career and kind of his resume, and he's just going to be a great addition for us. So I think, like I said earlier, I think the offense will look a little bit different than it has in the past, and we're really looking forward to the improvements on that end of the ball. He's got a ton of knowledge offensively from his time at Johns Hopkins and just growing up playing since he was a kid in Canada. So Yeah, I mean, when I met with him this summer, just kind of listening to what he had in store for the offense, it was really exciting for me. He's getting a good balance between kind of some structure on the offensive side of the ball, but then a little bit unstructured as well with that little bit Canadian style free flowing game. So I think it's gonna work out for our guys pretty well.
Now, kind of switching ends of the field to the defensive side, somewhere that you kind of made a living at when you were at Detroit Mercy and now playing professionally with the Waterdogs. But taking a look at the defense, it looks like there's at least a couple guys coming back this year that have some serious playing time from years past. How has maybe that experience shown through so far this spring?
Yeah, defensively, we've looked really good so far in our first 2 week practices. And I think, like you said, we brought back a lot of guys on the defensive end. And I've been coaching the defense the last few years, and I've kind of stuck at that spot. Obviously, in addition to the head coaching roles and responsibilities, I've kind of stuck up with the defensive unit just so that like you said, there is no changes really for them, right? I want to keep things a little bit familiar since we have so many guys returning, and yeah, I think defensively, our identity as a Detroit Mercy lacrosse program, it kind of starts on the defensive end. We want to play fast, we want to be physical, we want to create turnovers, and our guys have been doing an awesome job, all fall, and then they've really been doing an amazing job the first 2 weeks of practice here to kind of hit the ground running, and we're kind of excited for how things will look this season on that end.
Couple more questions for you here, Coach. Talking with Charlie Hayes on Taking the Field with Stevie Mack. Looking at the face-off position, what does that position look like, at least through these first couple weeks of spring practice? I know primarily in the past, a guy like Billy Hart has taken the majority of the face-offs there the last few years. Is he still kind of considered your number one at this point?
Yeah, the face-off position for us has been one that we've really tried to put a lot of emphasis on this year. I mean, anyone that's followed our program for the last few years knows that we've struggled at that position. Billy Hart's obviously coming back. He's a senior this year with a lot of experience for us. But we brought in, two freshmen as well at the face-off position that are coming in to compete. And one thing that we stress to that unit specifically is, it's anyone's job. I think Billy Hart's done a phenomenal job all year, just kind of being a steady veteran that's kind of dominating that room. But honestly, that position is such a tricky one, right? It's kind of up and down, and it's a mental game from time to time. So it's an area that we need to improve upon, and we've kind of stressed the fact that it's really anyone's job, right? But we'll see kind of how that unit decides to pan out as we get into scrimmages and games. Someone will definitely emerge, but it needs to improve upon for sure. So just creating competitiveness in that room has been really important for us.
Absolutely. And then last question here for you, Coach. Kind of taking a step back and looking from a more broader sense. I know you went to high school kind of locally at Eisenhower. I went to Utica, as I believe I've mentioned you before. So pretty much
Yep.
grew up in the same area. Obviously went to Detroit Mercy. So you've been around lacrosse in the state of Michigan for quite a while now. What is your take, I guess, on lacrosse in the state of Michigan?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a tough one to answer these days, honestly. Back when I was playing at Eisenhower High School, I graduated from Eisenhower in 2014. So, playing there 2011, 12, 13, 14. Our high school program was really big. We had a varsity program. We had two JV teams, and we had a freshman team just for Eisenhower alone. I think, fast forward to kind of present day where we're at now, I'll go back and kind of help out from time to time. And it's really kind of numbers have gone down in participation. I think Eisenhower, joined with Utica High School, your alma mater, and we have one lacrosse team now that kind of is for both of those high schools. So it's interesting to see, numbers and participation going down, while the game of lacrosse as a whole is obviously growing, throughout the country. So it's a tough question to answer. Obviously the Brother Rices, the Detroit Catholic Centrals, the Detroit Country Days, they're still flourishing, and there's a ton of really, really good lacrosse players that are coming out of those schools, which is good to see. I mean, at the end of the day, I believe there's really good lacrosse players here in Michigan, and you see, guys, go play at the Division I level every single year. And, the Midwest in general, I think is obviously one that's overlooked a little bit in the lacrosse world, but we have such good athletes here in the Midwest, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, Minnesota. We have such good athletes in the Midwest, and the sport of lacrosse, as a whole is growing. And so it's good to see, a lot more Midwest guys play at the high level. Um, and that's kind of what we've been focusing on in our recruiting process is Midwest kids, and then also getting into Canada a little bit. We really like, getting as many Canadians in here as we can to help us score the ball offensively. And we want to get Midwest kids that have, great athleticism on the defensive end. So, I guess that's kind of a long way of answering specifically towards Michigan how lacrosse is, but it's been a little up and down over the years, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Charlie, I want to thank you again for taking a minute of your time with me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.